What if the smartest people aren't those who speak the most, but those who master what they never say? Imagine navigating every conversation with power, clarity, and silent confidence simply by mastering your words. Today, discover the 6 things truly intelligent individuals never say, and how mastering them could change your life forever. Discover 6 things an intelligent person never says. Stoic philosophy, a small insight that, if applied consistently, could completely reshape your communication and reputation. Transcript, a small insight that, if applied consistently, could completely reshape your communication and reputation. Pause for a moment. Music, have you ever said something you regretted only to wish you could take it back? Words once spoken carry weight, but what if you could master your speech and let your words reflect wisdom, intelligence, and strength? That's exactly what we're diving into today. 6 powerful habits of verbal mastery inspired by Stoic philosophy. Imagine speaking in a way that commands respect, builds trust, and aligns with the values of a truly intelligent person. From avoiding unnecessary boasting to choosing silence over empty promises, these habits are not, pause for a moment, just about communication. They're about character, and here's the best part: at the end of this video, you'll gain practical insights that you can start applying today, whether at work, with friends, or in your own inner dialogue. If this resonates with you, hit the like button and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official. Let's explore how words can shape not only conversations, but entire lives. Stay tuned, it gets better from here. 1. Avoid boasting about knowledge. Think about the last time you met someone who couldn't stop talking about, pause for a moment, their accomplishments or expertise. How did it make you feel? Most people instinctively pull away from this kind of person, not because their knowledge is invalid, but because their delivery lacks humility. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true wisdom doesn't need to announce itself. It's quiet, confident, and impactful, without demanding recognition. Now, let's bring this to life with a story. There was once a man who had built a successful career. Whenever he entered a room, his goal was to impress. He talked about his achievements, the books he'd pause for a moment, read. The people he knew. At first, people were impressed, but over time they began to see through the facade. Instead of feeling inspired, they felt belittled, as if his knowledge was a tool to dominate, not connect. One day, a colleague pulled him aside and said, "You have the skills, but your words are pushing people away." That moment hit hard. He realized that, in his attempt to showcase his intelligence, he'd alienated those around him. This is a common trap. We're often conditioned to believe that demonstrating our expertise, pause for a moment, will earn respect. But the truth is that boasting usually achieves the opposite. The Stoics were clear on this point. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Just as nature takes no credit for what it creates, neither should we take credit for our own wisdom." What does this mean in practical terms? It's about understanding that knowledge isn't a weapon or a trophy, it's a tool, and the way you wield it matters more than the tool itself. When you boast, you diminish the value of your knowledge. Instead of building, never forget, credibility, you create barriers. The people listening to you aren't inspired, they feel like they're being measured against your intellect. Worse, you rob yourself of the opportunity to truly connect. A conversation becomes a competition, and no one walks away enriched. Let's break this down further. Why do intelligent people avoid boasting? First, they understand that actions speak louder than words. If you're truly knowledgeable, it will show in what you do, not what you say. Second, they recognize the value of humility. Humility, pause for a moment, doesn't mean downplaying your abilities. It means allowing others to discover your value organically. Finally, intelligent people know the importance of listening. When you're busy boasting, you're not learning, and if you're not learning, you're stagnating. So what's the alternative? How do you showcase your knowledge without falling into the trap of boasting? Start with intention. Ask yourself why you're sharing a particular piece of information. Is it to genuinely help someone, or is it to inflate your ego? If it's the latter, pause. Remember, pause for a moment. The goal of communication is connection, not self-promotion. Next, let your knowledge serve others. Instead of saying, "I already know how to solve this, try," here's an idea that might help. This subtle shift transforms the dynamic. You're no longer the person dominating the conversation, you're the person elevating it. This is what Stoics call mindful speaking. Finally, embrace the power of silence. Sometimes the most intelligent thing you can do is listen. When you listen, you gain new perspectives, you understand what others pause for a moment, value, and you build stronger relationships. Silence isn't the absence of knowledge, it's the acknowledgement of it. A wise person doesn't need to fill every space with their voice. Their presence speaks for itself. If we return to our story, the man who used to boast eventually learned this lesson. He began asking more questions and sharing less about himself. Over time, people started seeking his advice, not because he demanded their attention, but because he earned their trust. His silence became a sign of strength, and his humility a pause for a moment, source of respect. In the end, avoiding boasting isn't about hiding your knowledge, it's about presenting it in a way that uplifts others. It's about realizing that your words are a reflection of your inner character. When you choose humility over arrogance, you embody the very essence of Stoic wisdom: to live not for applause, but for purpose. Now ask yourself, how do my words reflect who I am? That's the question intelligent individuals ask every day, and that's the question that leads to true growth. To never dismiss others' opinions. Continuing from where we left off about the power of humility in communication, let's take it one step further. One of the most profound ways to honor this principle is to never dismiss the opinions of others. Think about this. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone brushed off your idea before you even had a chance to explain it? How did that feel? Most of us have experienced this, and it often leaves us feeling that our voice doesn't matter. Stoic philosophy teaches us that every person has value, and with this principle, though ancient in wisdom, holds immense power in today's fast-paced world. Never forget that value comes unique insights worth considering. To dismiss someone's opinion outright is to close the door to understanding and, more importantly, to connection. Now picture a man, we'll call him our protagonist. He's sharp, confident, and well-respected in his field, but he has one blind spot. He struggles to listen in meetings. He's quick to cut off ideas he doesn't agree with, or ones that don't immediately resonate with him. To him, it feels efficient. Why entertain something that in his mind clearly won't work? But this habit comes with consequences over time. His colleagues grow quiet, hesitant to share their thoughts. The room feels colder. Innovation stalls. He notices it but doesn't understand why. One day during the project review, a junior member nervously suggests a solution. It's unconventional, and the man almost interrupts, but something stops him. He decides to listen just this once. To his surprise, the idea isn't just good, it's groundbreaking. In that moment, he realizes how much he's missed simply because he wasn't willing to listen. This story mirrors what this principle, though ancient in wisdom, holds immense power in today's fast-paced world. Stoics believe deeply that wisdom comes from openness, not arrogance. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is impossible to learn that which you think you already know." Dismissing others' opinions is in essence shutting yourself off from growth. It's saying, "I've learned all I need to learn," which ironically is the hallmark of ignorance, not intelligence. But let's be honest, listening to opinions that clash with our own is hard. It challenges our ego. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that we might be wrong. Yet this principle, though ancient in wisdom, holds immense power in today's fast-paced world. Never forget exactly where growth happens. When you give others the space to express themselves, you create an environment of respect and collaboration. You're not just building relationships, you're building trust. So how can you avoid dismissing others' opinions while staying true to yourself? First, remember that listening isn't the same as agreeing. You can give someone the dignity of being heard without compromising your values or beliefs. The act of listening itself is powerful. It shows that you value the person, even if you don't see. To pause for a moment. I second approach conversations with curiosity. Instead of thinking, "How can I refute this?" try asking, yourself, what can I learn from this? Even the most misguided opinion might contain a kernel of truth. And if it doesn't, you've still learned something about how that person sees the world. That insight alone is valuable. Finally, practice humility. Stoic wisdom teaches us to see ourselves not as the center of the universe, but as part of a greater whole. When you dismiss someone's opinion, you're acting as if your perspective is the only one. Pause for a moment. That matters, but the truth is no single person holds all the answers. Wisdom lies in collaboration, in the exchange of ideas. Returning to our protagonist, his willingness to listen didn't just save the project. It changed him. He began asking more questions in meetings, encouraging even the quietest voices to speak up. What he discovered was profound. His team wasn't just talented, they were brilliant. All they needed was the space to shine. In the end, never dismissing others' opinions isn't just about kindness. It's about strategy. When you honor the pause for a moment, perspectives of those around you, you unlock a wealth of ideas, insights, and possibilities. More importantly, you show that intelligence isn't about proving you're right. It's about understanding that everyone in their own way has something to teach you, and that, as the Stoics would agree, is the essence of true wisdom. 3. Refrain from complaining without purpose. Continuing with our journey into Stoic wisdom, another principle that profoundly shapes how intelligent people approach life is this: refrain from complaining without purpose. Complaints, pause for a moment, when left unchecked, can become a habit that weakens not only your relationships, but also your own resilience. Stoicism reminds us that while it's human to feel frustration, voicing it without a constructive aim often achieves nothing but spreading negativity. Picture this: our protagonist is someone you might recognize, a hardworking individual juggling multiple responsibilities. Like many, he faces setbacks at work, family pressures, and the everyday frustrations that life throws at us. Yet instead of addressing these challenges, hidden, he often vents to anyone who will listen. Complaints about his boss, about traffic, about the weather, all the usual suspects. At first people sympathize, but as time goes on, his constant negativity starts to push them away. His words no longer invite connection, they repel it. One day, a close friend says something that stops him in his tracks. I understand things are tough, but what are you doing to change them? The question lingers. He realizes that while he's been quick to point out problems, he's done little to seek solutions. Worse, his constant venting has this principle, though ancient in wisdom, holds immense power in today's fast-paced world. Drained the energy of those around him, people who care for him but are now exhausted by his words. This scenario is all too common. It's easy to fall into the trap of airing our frustrations without considering their impact, but Stoic philosophy offers a powerful reminder: focus on what you can control and let go of what you cannot. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Complaints, especially about things beyond our control, only reinforce of this principle, though ancient in wisdom, holds immense power in today's fast-paced world. Pause for a moment. Sense of helplessness, they trap us in a cycle of negativity rather than propelling us toward action. Here's the key: not all complaints are bad. When voiced with intention, they can lead to change, but without a clear purpose, complaints are like shouting into the void. They serve no one. Think about it: complaining about traffic doesn't make it move faster. Complaining about the weather doesn't stop the rain. Intelligent individuals understand this. They reserve their energy for what matters, for what they can influence. So pause for a moment. How can you break free from the habit of purposeless complaining? Start by asking yourself one simple question whenever frustration arises: what can I do about this? If the answer is nothing, then let it go. Venting about uncontrollable situations not only wastes time, but also robs you of your peace. Instead, channel that energy into something productive: reading, reflecting, or simply practicing gratitude for the things going well in your life. Another strategy is to frame your perspective. Instead of saying, "Why does this always?" pause for a moment. Happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Stoicism teaches us that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Complaints blind us to these opportunities, while Reflection reveals them. Our protagonist, after reflecting on his friend's question, began to change his approach. Instead of complaining about his boss, he started preparing solutions for the issues he faced at work. Instead of venting about the traffic, he used the time to listen to audiobooks or practice mindfulness. Over time, his mindset shifted. He found that pause for a moment. When he stopped complaining, he gained clarity. His words carried more weight because they were no longer filled with negativity. And perhaps most importantly, his relationships improved. People were drawn to his calm, solution-focused demeanor. In the end, refraining from purposeless complaints is about reclaiming your power. When you choose to focus on what you can control, you strengthen not just your mind, but also your influence on the world around you. Stoicism reminds us that our words and thoughts are tools. Use them wisely and pause for a moment. They will build a life of strength and purpose. For no empty promises. Steer clear of speaking without thinking, building on the idea of choosing our words carefully. Another fundamental principle in Stoic communication is to avoid empty promises and always think before you speak. Words carry weight, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Making promises you can't keep or speaking impulsively can damage your credibility and weaken the trust others place in you. The Stoics believe that a wise person uses their words like a pause for a moment. Craftsman uses tools deliberately and with precision. Imagine our protagonist once again in his efforts to be liked and dependable. He has developed a habit of over-promising. When asked for help, he says yes, even when his schedule is already passed. Act when opportunities arise. He makes commitments without considering if he has the time, energy, or resources to follow through. At first, people admire his willingness to help, but over time his inability to deliver catches up with him. A missed deadline here, a forgotten promise there. Soon people never forget begin to doubt his reliability. One day, a colleague confronts him. After yet another unfulfilled promise, the words hit hard. It's not that you don't mean well, but your words don't mean anything anymore. This realization is a turning point. He starts to see that every time he makes a promise he can't keep, he's not just disappointing others, he's chipping away at his own integrity. This scenario highlights why empty promises are so damaging. When you make a promise, you're essentially giving your word as a guarantee. If you fail to deliver, that guarantee loses its value. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of aligning your words with your actions. Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Promises should be made sparingly and fulfilled completely. But this principle doesn't stop at promises, it extends to all the words we speak. How often do we say things without fully considering their impact? A casual comment in the heat of the moment, an offhand remark, these can have consequences we never intended. Speaking, this principle, though ancient in wisdom, holds immense power in today's fast-paced world. Pause for a moment without thinking often leads to misunderstandings or unnecessary conflict. The Stoics teach us to pause, reflect, and choose our words with care. In doing so, we minimize regret and maximize clarity. So how can you steer clear of empty promises and impulsive speech? Start by cultivating awareness before agreeing to something. Ask yourself, can I realistically fulfill this? If the answer is no, be honest. It's better to set clear boundaries up front than to damage trust later. People respect honesty, even if it means saying pause for a moment. Know now. Next, practice the art of the pause. When faced with a challenging question or situation, take a moment before responding. Silence isn't a sign of weakness, it's a tool for reflection. In that pause, you can assess your thoughts, weigh your options, and craft a response that aligns with your values. This aligns perfectly with the Stoic concept of mindful speaking. Lastly, be intentional with your commitments. Remember, your word is one of the most valuable things you have. Use it wisely. When you make a promise, follow through. Pause for a moment. No matter how small the task, each fulfilled promise strengthens your reputation as someone who can be relied upon. Over time, this consistency builds unshakable credibility. Returning to our protagonist, his journey didn't end with that confrontation. He took the feedback to heart and began to change. He started saying no when he needed to, explaining his limitations, Honestly, he practiced pausing before speaking, ensuring his words were thoughtful and deliberate. Most importantly, he made it a priority to fulfill every promise he paused for a moment. Made no matter how challenging the results, slowly but surely he rebuilt trust with those around him in the end. Avoiding empty promises and thinking before speaking isn't just about protecting your reputation, it's about living with integrity. When your words and actions align, you become someone people can trust. And as the Stoics knew, trust is the foundation of all meaningful relationship. So before you speak, pause. Before you promise, reflect. Let your words reflect not just what you think, but who you are. That's the power, never forget, of mindful communication. 5. Don't deny your mistakes. Building on the importance of integrity and mindful communication, there's another critical lesson from Stoic philosophy that intelligent individuals never overlook. Don't deny your mistakes. Admitting when you're wrong isn't a sign of weakness. It's a reflection of strength, humility, and the willingness to grow. In fact, how you handle your mistakes says far more about your character than your successes ever could. Let's return to our protagonist after rebuilding trust with his words. He paused for a moment, faced a new challenge, owning up to his errors. One particular incident stands out. He was leading a project, and in his haste to meet a deadline, he overlooked a critical detail. That oversight led to a setback that frustrated his team and delayed their progress. When confronted about it, his initial instinct was to deflect the blame. He wanted to point out how tight the timeline was, or how others hadn't caught the mistake either, but something held him back. Deep down, he knew deflecting wouldn't solve the issue. It would only pause for a moment, erode the respect he had worked so hard to rebuild. Instead, he chose to face the situation head on. He admitted his mistake, apologized to the team, and outlined the steps he would take to ensure it didn't happen again. To his surprise, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Rather than being disappointed, his team appreciated his honesty and respected his willingness to take responsibility. In that moment, he learned a powerful truth: admitting your mistakes doesn't diminish you, it elevates you. This is where Stoic wisdom shines. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If pause for a moment, someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change, for it is the truth I see, and the truth never harmed anyone." The Stoics believe that truth is the foundation of growth. To deny your mistakes is to deny yourself the opportunity to learn and become better. But why is admitting mistakes so difficult? Often it's tied to ego. We fear looking incompetent or weak, yet denying an obvious mistake only magnifies those fears. It creates a defensive wall that others can see through, and it prevents pause for a moment you from addressing the root of the problem. On the other hand, acknowledging your missteps signals confidence. It shows you're secure enough to face the truth and strong enough to make amends. So how can you embrace this principle in your own life? First, practice self-awareness. When something goes wrong, resist the urge to look outward for blame. Instead, reflect inward. Ask yourself, what role did I play in this? Owning your part, no matter how small, is the first step toward resolution. Next, focus on solutions rather than excuses. Pause for a moment. Admitting a mistake, is only the beginning. What truly matters is what you do afterward. Outline clear steps to correct the error and prevent it from happening again. This proactive approach not only repairs the immediate damage but also reinforces trust and reliability. Finally, treat mistakes as opportunities. The Stoics believe that every setback carries a lesson. If you're willing to see it, a mistake isn't a failure. It's feedback. It's a chance to refine your approach, deepen your understanding, and strengthen your pause for a moment. Character. Our protagonist experienced this firsthand. By taking responsibility for his mistake, he not only resolved the issue, but also inspired his team. They saw him as someone who could admit when he was wrong, learn from it, and lead with integrity. This earned him a level of respect that deflecting blame never could. In the end, admitting your mistakes is about more than just fixing a problem. It's about living authentically. It's about embracing the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and using it to grow. As the Stoics would say, every error, never forget is a stepping stone to wisdom, so the next time you stumble, pause, acknowledge what went wrong, commit to doing better, and remember the courage to own your mistakes is what sets the truly wise apart. 6. Don't overshare future plans. Continuing from the importance of owning your mistakes, let's talk about another practice rooted in Stoic wisdom: avoiding the temptation to overshare your future plans. While it's natural to feel excited about your goals, sharing them too freely can dilute your focus, invite unnecessary opinions, and even hinder your progress. Intelligent individuals understand this. They let their actions speak louder than their words. Imagine our protagonist fresh off his lesson in accountability, having restored trust in his team. He feels energized to pursue a new project he's been envisioning for months. Over coffee, one day he shares every detail with a friend: the idea, the roadmap, the potential outcomes. The friend listens, nods, but then responds with a hesitant tone. "Do you really think that's going to work? It sounds risky." What happens next? This principle, though ancient in wisdom, holds immense power in today's fast-paced world. Never forget is subtle but significant. The enthusiasm he felt moments ago starts to waver. Doubts creep in. Questions he hadn't considered now loom large. While feedback can sometimes be helpful, in this case, it saps his energy before he even begins. By the end of the conversation, he feels less motivated and unsure of his own vision. And here's the lesson: oversharing plans doesn't always bring support. It can invite doubt and derail your focus. Stoic philosophy encourages us to approach our ambitions with quiet confidence. Epictetus once said, "Don't never forget. Explain your philosophy, embody it." The same principle applies to your plans. Don't just talk about them. Work on them. Oversharing can create a false sense of accomplishment, as though talking about a goal is equivalent to achieving it. But the reality is that words don't build anything, actions do. There's also the issue of external expectations. When you broadcast your plans, you invite scrutiny. Every step forward becomes a performance, and every setback feels magnified under the weight of others' opinions. Stoicism reminds us to stay inwardly focused. Pause for a moment, controlling what we can and letting go of what we can't. Sharing your plans too soon shifts that focus outward, making you vulnerable to distractions and criticism. So how can you strike the right balance? First, remember that not everyone needs to know your every move. Reserve your plans for those who will genuinely support and guide you, people who will hold you accountable without dampening your spirit. This is the difference between seeking validation and seeking wisdom. Second, embrace the power of progress over promises. Instead, pause for a moment of saying, "I'm going to do this amazing." Focus on actually doing it. When your results speak for themselves, you eliminate the need for explanations. Success is its own announcement, and it carries far more weight than words ever could. Third, cultivate patience. Ambitions take time, and the process of achieving them often involves unexpected twists and turns. Oversharing can create unnecessary pressure to stick to a rigid timeline or vision, even when adjustments are needed. By keeping your plans private, you give yourself the freedom to adapt without pause for a moment, feeling like you've let anyone down. Our protagonist learned this lesson the hard way. After sharing too much, he found himself paralyzed by the weight of others' doubts. It took stepping back and realigning with his goals to regain his focus. He began keeping his plans to himself, sharing updates only after he had made significant progress. The result: he felt less distracted, more motivated, and ultimately more successful in the end. Avoiding the urge to overshare your future plans is about protecting your energy. Your goals are personal, and pause for a moment. They deserve the space to grow without interference, as the Stoics teach. Focus on what's within your control: your actions, your dedication, and your persistence. Let others see the results of your work when the time is right. Until then, stay quiet, stay focused, and let your success speak for itself. That is the essence of mindful action and true intelligence. As we close this journey into Stoic wisdom, remember that intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's about how you live, speak, and connect with others. From avoiding pause for a moment, the trap of boasting, to owning your mistakes and staying grounded in action. These principles guide you toward a life of integrity and clarity. Stoicism teaches us to be mindful of our words, not just for their impact on others, but for the reflection they cast on ourselves. Now is the time to put these lessons into practice. Speak with intention, act with purpose, and let your growth inspire others without the need for explanation. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. If this video resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more practical Stoic wisdom. Let's continue this journey together, one mindful step at a time. Thank you for watching. This principle, though ancient in wisdom, holds immense power in today's fast-paced world. If these powerful lessons resonate with you and you're ready to continue mastering the art of living wisely, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Together, we'll grow stronger, calmer, and wiser, one timeless principle at a time. Always remember, true intelligence isn't loud. It's humble, intentional, and action-driven. Guard your words, sharpen your mind, lead by silent strength, and watch how the world responds differently to your presence.